Okay, so the next level of this is thinking about, and you guys will experience this, and you haven't yet, but you will. And I want you to be aware that it's a thing and that it is totally organic. That who you first bring into Cornerstone for the very first time playing your character, at least for everyone else involved, is not who you are right now. You build your character, you get into that headspace, and you bring him on site, and you get in game, and you start playing it, and then like the world happens, and things happen, and you have experiences, and your character is affected by those things, and your character changes, and you as a person change how you play that character, because in the meantime, when you're not at Britannis, you are a living, breathing person who is being affected by the things happening in your real life. So taking your character out of it completely, just think about yourself and who you were a year ago. Who you were a month ago, even. We're constantly changing and growing and hopefully learning and becoming better versions of ourselves if we're lucky, if we're doing it right. Sometimes we don't do it right, and sometimes we let the things that happen around us and to us give us a bit of a dark turn. But I think it's important to acknowledge that as these things happen to us in real life, they also happen to our characters in game. And that's okay. That's supposed to happen. If you go to Renfest or something, there's a person who plays a character, and that character does not change. They put on that costume, and they are that person, and that person is always the same every time you see them. Every day that you go, every year you come back to fair, and it's the same character, and you always know what to expect. That doesn't happen with us because we are actively involved in a world that is happening around us and to us, and that we are affecting, and it affects us too. And the things that happen out of game change and shape the way that we play those characters too. It is all intertwined, and one affects the other. There are things that we do in game that change the way we look at ourselves out of game. And those things are important to acknowledge too. Another player in a previous session talked about how she did a thing in character that she normally wouldn't do in real life, but she did it and she was successful at it, and it made her in her real life braver than she would have been otherwise. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I guess I have a weird way of looking at it because I've been playing various different games for the past, live action games for the past 15 years. And I always look at it as though LARP is problem solving in a bubble. You can do all of these crazy things and experiment with economy or different social structures or whatever. Relations with other houses, relations with other races, relations with all of these other things. At the end of the day, at the end of the event, you come out of it, you take off the ears, you take off the beard, you take off all the funny costume, and you've learned a little bit about how to interact with the world better because of these experiences you've had in this bubble.
Yeah.
And what happens in this bubble doesn't affect the outside world, it doesn't affect the price of tea in China in any way, shape, or form.
But it affects you.
But it'll help you grow as a person, and then you can take the lessons that you're learning in this bubble and see places to implement them in the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Whereas I see it more like the opportunity, LARPing, and especially in the game here, as an opportunity to express parts of yourself, kind of like you were saying with Madge, that you don't get to, and explore sometimes the darker self or some type of aspect of yourself that you wouldn't get to in normal society. Like, I'm not gonna Well, no, I would do that. I was gonna say I'm not gonna walk around and bop people on the head and tell them to act right, but Bridget would. But no, I would do that. I would. But for example, Bridget, to the majority of people, is just frozen, not just physically, like the stiff, frozen. Everything is rain. Screw everybody else. This is the way things are. If you don't worship rain, you're an idiot. But she's super loyal. So once, like Farrowyn, once she makes a friend, she's like, "Oh, we're giddy. We can let's put some wine.
Well, let's go get involved in Call Us Love Life and tell her everything to do, and we're just gonna fix this whole thing right now. We're gonna fix this right now.
Can I just say, I don't want to stray too far off track, but I had been offering my services to Kala for a while. When she marched into the tavern and said, "All right, Farrowyn, it's your dream come true. I want you to get involved in my love life." And I was like, "I'm dropping everything I'm doing. Let's go. Let's do it."
And that was not what I was asking for. I was not asking her to. Anyway.
That's better than the other tangent that.
I
We're
knew
not
what you
doing
meant.
But to that end too. I mean, like for people who have role played with me before, know that Kala gets very emotional, and I really like.
Not really. I mean,
It's really nice to just be able to let that go because I'm
Yeah.
not used to just like, I mean, like Kala cries a lot. The running joke is it's not an event unless Kala cries.
right.
Okay, so Astor cries a lot. Kit only cries when she gets so stressed out that she snaps.
So it's really fun
I'm
to
the
play
opposite.
an emotional character when I'm generally
Or
not
at
as in
least
touch with
cries
that.
pretty
And also
good.
it's difficult to be that upbeat and happy all the time. Like I'm really glad. It is exhausting. So every once in a while when I get to cry, or the November event where it was just like all the tears and all the emotion and all the stuff, I was like, oh thank
think
God I
it's
get a
in every
break.
event. Sometimes multiple times.
Does anybody want to share what is different about your character now than when you first walked in maybe a way that you didn't expect?
Very different.
So when I first brought in Kala, she was designed to be very shy and very quiet. Yeah, you snark. Don't.
You did start out that way.
I did. You were there. You saw it. And I was very shy and very quiet and very yes ma'am no stutter because it was the first Camry and I really wasn't sure how to portray that and whatever. And it was a whole group of people and I didn't know what to do. So I was just like, I'm gonna create a really shy, really quiet character. And my very first event, there was a paladin who, bless him, he brought me out of my shell and totally, yeah, you facepalm all you want. But he really, this other player was kind of pushing me, and not in a negative way, but kind of forcing me to react to him. And he was, and I don't know if he realized it was my first event, or I don't even know if he was conscious of what he was doing, but he made me break out of my shell and made me more comfortable and made, if I had not had that first event, and if I had not gone on that adventure with that specific character, I think that ultimately I probably would have come to the same Kala that I know and love today, but it would have taken a lot longer. But by the end of that mission, I started my very first mission very shy, very quiet, very yes ma'am, no sir, and then I was just like, no, you're wrong. Like, this is not how this works, and I'm not gonna sit here and let you make a mistake or do this thing, or we're gonna help these people, or whatever. It was very strange to leave that event and a very different mindset that I came in from. And it was really, really cool to watch how this concept interacted with the world and then changed.
Yeah.
But there's somebody else who was there who can attest that Kala started out really, really shy, though
It's
nobody
true.
else believes it.
That's true.
That lasted 30 minutes.
Anybody else?
I don't know. Astor's changed a lot. It's more so when Astor came in, she was fairly quiet, but she was pretty sheltered. She had never left her sept, and she spent her childhood learning to be a priestess, and then decided that she wanted to be a doctor, and then she spent all ounce of her energy after that doing that, and that's all she did. And then suddenly she's a hero, and she comes into town and doesn't know anybody, and she just wants to be helpful, but doesn't really know how. And now she's running the House of Healing in Cornerstone, and she's agreed to be a Queen's champion. And, like, she's involved in all sorts of crap, and, like, her whole worldview has totally opened up, and she's a lot more confident and, like, will not just boss people around in terms of their health, but isn't afraid to speak up when she needs to,
Yeah.
and still cries a lot. Mostly before we, go fight demons and do scary things that she's never done.
Did you want to share, Mary?
I don't know. I share a lot.
I want to hear what Larissa has to say.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Actually, like, because I've sort of, since a lot of Muriel was a reprise of a very fun character that I played before, I had kind of, like, tested it out a little bit. But there were things in my head as far as, like, mannerisms and voice that I had on paper that once I got to game changed for sure. But she's pretty on par with what I had planned. Because I had planned for her to be very sunshine and roses on the outside with a, darker side and turn to her, and over time that has started to come out. But I think, like, Sebastian nailed it. Like, he hasn't brought his character into play yet. Like, it's kind of like they say, what is it? Every plan survives until the first contact with the enemy. Is that what it's like? So,
Contact with the enemy.
yes.
Yeah.
So you got a plan and you have this idea in your head, and you've got your stats on paper, and you think you have everything. But once you start putting that costume on and you start interacting with other people, if you are playing a dynamic character and not just like, nope, this is my character, ABC, I'm a static character, like at the Ren Fair, you do allow those things to grow and change. So it's going to be interesting for the new players kind of next year at the workshop what you guys are going to say.
That's fun. I love it.
I think it's kind of difficult sometimes for some people because they get they have this mindset they're coming in to do X, and then, like you said, it changes on you. But the big one is that, and it's just human nature. You build this character, and then you get out there, and you're like, this doesn't feel natural. I don't like, like you try to. You're like, okay, I'm gonna play this grumpy, broody. And you're just like, I can't do it, or
Not the whole time.
not the whole time. Like, or you're
That's why I
like,
started making
or the
friends.
reverse is. You do it, and it's so draining. Like the reverse. Yeah, you're not normally a happy person, and you try to put all this energy into it. By the end of the weekend, you're like, I need 3 days to recover
Even if
just
you
so I
are
can go back to
naturally
work.
chipper,
Oh, yeah.
It's exhausting.
The November event especially
Oh my
was
God,
like
that was-
emotionally draining, just because like the store went through so much crap, and it just like that was the hardest event for me to come out of. Like, the bleed was real.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah,
like, okay,
November
must
was
Yeah, it was
turn
cool.
off and
November
put
was
her
always-
away
She had some
for a
cool
little
stuff
while.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But I think that's the most, yeah, it's draining, but I also, like, for me on a personal level, like, the November event was the most
the
rewarding,
greatest event.
was the greatest event, is by far, so far, the greatest event that I've had in, like, the 4 years I've been in Martinez, and it's just, it was so
It was the
rewarding.
culmination of like 4
Well,
years of.
I
I was
stuff
gonna
in a lot
say
of ways.
anything that has to do with rain and rain's holidays is
Well,
gonna be
and
my
I-
favorite anyway.
Like, and I've said it to a couple of people, like, that event, I got to play every aspect of a store. Some of them I never expected to get to bring into game. Like, she got to play healer and priestess and wife and
Yeah.
like all these things, and I'm like, every part of who she is got brought into one weekend.
And I think it
Yeah.
comes back to what you were talking about earlier with the staff kind of guides and whatever, and can help with that sort of stuff. But the majority, with the exception of what happened on Sunday with my brother, the majority of my plot and my drama that weekend in character and that emotional stuff was player driven. And that is the best thing for me, when you're like, this is the growth that I wanted, this was a direction that I wanted to go, and here is the culmination of that. And kind of watching that unfold was just amazing. And I've been waiting 4 years from when I brought this character into play to get to the point where she was gonna have this moment, and staff unknowingly brought that to me on Sunday. And it was just kind of beautiful to watch 4 years of roleplay culminate into this thing that I was never sure I was gonna get, because I wanted it to happen organically. And here is this moment that is 4 years of an investment, and it's just unbelievably amazing.
And just so you guys know, our November event is the last weekend event of the season, so it's always,
A big
we,
freaking deal.
we close the season with a bang. We try to pack it full of drama and
And it's Rain's
wrap up
holiday, so that
storylines
doesn't
and-
hurt anything.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I've got a worksheet that I did not print out nearly enough of because I was not anticipating the turnout that this class has had.
Give it
so
to the new people. I'm good.
I've got 2 left. Are you guys together? Great. I'm gonna give you one. I'm gonna give you one. I'm also going to link this on the Britannis website, because I want to encourage everyone to also look at this and use it for their chapter 2 characters when you get to that point.
Is this the same worksheet from last
Yes.
character workshop?
That was a good one.
Yes.
I still have mine.
Okay, I was gonna say, because I remember being in that class with Eli, and because when we talked about certain things, and
Yeah.
I still to this day kind of chuckle to myself because I'm like, yeah, we built our characters like we thought, and there's a couple times I'm like, no, not even close.
No, not
Like,
even the same time
yeah,
zone.
Yeah, but there's ones where like I know like it was like, hey, what are you looking at trades, you know? And Eli's had one. I remember Eli, one of his was like like world traveler. I want a jack of all trades kind of thing. And every time I see his character in game, I'm just like, look, I don't know if you know this, but you might know a person that knows a person. And he's like, I got family, I got this. And it's just like, okay, well, he's like the problem solver. Like, you probably can't fix this, but you know somebody else that can.
Okay, so this worksheet, it is, I think it can also be beneficial to our veteran players, because you can look at this and consider how you would answer this as a new person and whether or not these things still apply, or apply them to your character as he or she now stands, and how would that version of your character, the one right now, answer these questions. I've only got 2, so I'm gonna look at these and then I'll give you 2 so that we don't just have one group looking at them. But these are things to look at and think about your character while you're answering them. Who could I be? Who am I? What could I do? What do I want? I want to be blank. Why? What's in my way? What are the barriers between you and achieving whatever your particular goals are? What saves the day? What breaks those barriers down? What is it that happens or that you want to happen in order for you to get to the thing that you want? What do I do? Does this help me get what I want? Can this be LARPed out loud? Can this be done with or near others? What's my vulnerability? What's my special skill? So these are fun, handy. I'm sure there's a lot of other things that you can think about in terms of developing your character for you guys. It's also good things to think about for the rest of you. Can you still answer these questions? How would you answer them now? So that maybe you get some direction on how to move forward at this point.
I can answer mine as in I'm not ready to lose Bridget, so I wish we had another year.
Right?
That's what happens when you start late.
Yeah. But it's all good. It's all good.
So, Annie, I think like tying this worksheet into LARPing Out Loud is huge. And for those of you who haven't been to that class, last year when we were doing this with Megan, like if the more of these questions you can answer with a tell and a show, okay, how can you show this in game? Your character has a background as a fisherman. How can you show that in game? Or your character is afraid of this. How can you portray it and LARP it out loud so it doesn't just stay on the paper. It comes into the world so everyone can play and interact and use it to grow as well.
Okay, so that's the next part of the class.
Oh,
I thought we were like done with class, man.
We've got a few more minutes.
Awesome.
207.
what up, girlfriend? Transition.
2:07 and we
queen.
go to 2:30,
Yeah.
right?
Nice.
Sweet.
I don't even know what room we're in.
Okay. So, what Larissa was just talking about. Who are you? How would you describe yourself and your character to someone who doesn't know anything about your character? Which is all of us, really, at this point for you guys. And if I were walking into Cornerstone for the very first time and I slap eyes on you in character from across the field, what do I see? what's the visual, and what can I tell about your character just from what I see? How are you standing? Are you standing? Are you napping under a tree? Are you running back and forth and socializing? Is your hand on your sword and your eyes are darting back and forth? Are you kicked back against a tree, cleaning out your fingernails with a knife? You know, what's the visual? So think about that for a minute, and let's break into little groups. And then just within our little group, we'll go around the circle, and you talk about who you are in just a couple of words, and the things that you want to portray outwardly in how you present your character. And what do those things look like physically? And then get feedback from the other people in your group. If you're not sure how to express that physically, get some pointers. If you're doing a good job, hopefully the other people will tell you, you know, I totally get that. When I see you in character, that is exactly what I get from that. Or,
You know, Annie, I still, like today, had 3 or 4 people say, I didn't know who you were because how different I look.
You look a little different in and out of character.
It's the eye. It throws people off.
You guys ready to break?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be with Eli and.
and it really is beyond just the costuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm breaking
So-
Because you are,
Break us up.
you will be that person
Yep, yep.
while you're in game. And so let's do like groups of 3, I guess. How many? I don't know. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
One side of the table. We'll just flip the table.
So this home
Well,
board
here.
right here, I remember
So-
the first time
You know,
I don't know.
search
I
that
mean,
like night.
Scooch over here, girls.
He was just like sitting in a chair and I was there. He was just like stone cold chilling.
Go over there with
All
those
of a
2.
sudden he started
you
being
know, I was
like,
like,
oh yeah,
We're
well,
supposed
this
to
is
group
what's
what are we
going on
doing?
over
Oh,
there.
groups of
That's
3?
what's up with
Oh,
this
okay.
dude. And then like
And then-
then I'm like,
yeah, what's up with your group of 5?
he grabbed his bow and he just like,
It went like
And-
right out.
Like,
She was
wait,
ready.
that's okay.
Going
That's okay.
we wheeled back. I'm like,
All
wait,
right.
what?
Alright, well then bring it back in.
Any more
caveats?
caveats?
that's what I remember.
So,
Like,
yeah.
Sky
Yeah.
races.
Think
Alright, so I'm gonna say,
Exactly.
crony lady
Clone.
we drag out the lady in the middle of the winter.
Yeah.
Kind of
you know, like the stereotypical way.
That's
And that literally, like,
alright.
I just,
awesome.
Properly.
I don't run anymore.
You know what I get?
Everybody's all involved, and I was like,
Like,
I'm like,
like,
Yep.
legit.
and the best part is I get
Stole
there,
that
get there,
costume tavern and
Is it
like
like-
for food.
still in the middle of it. And then I
I
say, you know, I
still
start, you know,
love
I-
making
I
up
know
shots
you do.
or whatever. But
I
yeah,
walk
it's
around
and-
town, I'm like, I don't know what she's
and-
doing, but it's probably
But in the reverse,
not
though,
sanctioned.
so I have this very cornerstone,
Yeah, I
very,
get
very
that. I
relaxed
got
kind of
you.
attitude.
Like
But then when it's
That's fine.
like work and play, like when we get out on the mission on the
I'm
field,
Like,
all
I'm
of a
not
sudden
gonna
it's
get
like,
involved in
Golden
that because that's
Down.
not
That's
my
why I
thing.
have the
Because
interaction
I've
with my
seen
character.
it.
I'm like, number one, I'm
it's
like,
an entire like I
I don't
just
know
got to
anything
hang
well,
out
showtime,
and
right? I
about
actually-
myself too.
I
And number
control the flow of the fight
I
And
have
number
because
two,
our
I'm just
shield
like,
guys get tunnel vision and they're going like
I'm
this,
not
and
getting
I'm like,
involved with that in my
what? You know, I call their
You can be
attention.
very,
You
very
know,
sneaky
start
when you want to be
I
out
fight
there.
on
content
in
with
whatever
that
way.
Because
watching.
being range, you've got
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm
awareness.
watching
I try
everything.
to
You know, like,
portray that with
there's so much love,
Oh, yeah.
you know, things like that.
optimism
And see,
and
or-
showing love to my
Then there's
heroes.
moments where me,
That's what
your
I
character
designed her
will
was to go out and be a healer
just
in the field until
Help
I
them
realized
any way that I
Move
can, and
20,
not
30
just
yards ahead of
because
her.
I'm
like-
both bound to do it,
I got a circle of bones
but
and
because I truly
You know
want
where
to.
we're at,
When
you know.
he's healing,
And then we were
it's
like,
like,
okay,
I'd
so
rather be out on the
I mean,
field
there was one night, it was a night mod, it was
Yeah.
actually kind of tricky, we were
Because
up on the
of
top of the
my
plateau, and
Follow
you
you
know, like,
so
alright,
busy
split.
now.
So,
Like,
We're like,
I would
between the-
normally
'cause
say,
we were
like,
being
If I
chased by
am bound
something,
to
it was
stay
like,
in this one place and
They chased me,
still doing
degree,
she's
and
like,
then Eli
I
just
know this person.
paused,
I
waited until I
love
kept following me,
much
and
as
they
I
came
can
up
all
and
the time.
mowed them down from
Love
behind,
that.
just because they were
It's
talking.
gonna be
It
talking
inspires
to
me
you.
Rose
to
got
like
rubbed
things like that, and you
If
don't have
see me,
to
I'm probably talking to
find
someone.
a niche, that's what I say,
I'm
find like a
rarely
little
not
bit,
talking.
like something that,
Because I
like,
wanted
So
to do
hopefully
something
when
You
you
need to
walk
find
the
something
cornerstone
like
and
that.
you see me for the first
Yeah,
time,
Maybe
it's
I'll
that.
sing a
You
little
need to
love
find
song. That would be
You want,
I'm talking to
wonderful.
someone.
first
and
character
I am
is
counseling
Because
or
that's
I'm
my whole
laughing
goal. is-
like history and things like that, and telling
when I am
stories.
not
And if you're
talking
like,
to anyone.
"Hey,
I
what
can
was
just
this
say,
thing? What," you know,
Slowly melting.
it's
Um,
So
you know,
eventually,
by that
probably
age,
wonder
it's
if I
really not too
I'm
bad. I
trying
mean,
to
it
decide if I want to wear
can be
my
That is
slightly
what I
more
can do
intimidating the
white
first time
contact next to them.
until you
or
fall on
white
that first
people.
player mod that night, and
I
I'll
want
tell
to
you that
appear
Because
about
I'm
approachable.
slowly
it would take
changing.
80% of your
With that glitter
worries.
and
By the time you get back, you're just gonna be huffing and puffing, and you're gonna be
It ended
like,
up, I didn't.
"That was
find-
I think
awesome.
I'm
I don't
really
know you,
stoic
but you're my new
about
best
it.
friend."
I
Wanted-
I know, I was like, where the hell is the stoic part?
Like,
Because
not
I
Yeah.
round.
Yeah, I know, I did that at all,
Yeah.
and I never
Yeah.
did all that.
It's just also
And-
like, it's all somber, and then all of a sudden,
2
And
weeks.
I think if anyone.
And then by the time you
wants
get back with
her
it,
in
like,
I mean,
her
you're seriously
quiet
like,
moments
everybody's
when
on there
she's
to
around,
value the effect. You're like, okay, I'm not at your house, but I'll still come over and talk to you. So then you have your housemates, and then you're like, oh, I'll still go over and talk to that house because so-and-so, I go on mod with them because this is the very first mod.
Yeah, so it's really cool, like,
I have a look
because the
for my
game
chapter
is so
sheet.
large.
Yeah.
Like,
Only-
also before, you know, I tried to play Castle
Yeah, I have
in
them
Rome and stuff, and especially when I was pregnant, I was like, alright, entire game, have fun on that mod, I'm gonna stay in here, but like, I've hardly gone on any mods at all, so if you do wanna kick it in town, like, we can, and there's an entire, like,
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
yeah.
Whole land swap, whole classes. You like, hey, I don't want to do that. I just want to do chillax and
Yeah, and it's like still like
I
it's,
love
it's a
seeing
whole
that.
game in of itself.
I don't know
It's
if
like a
I'm-
town game, which is cool.
Yeah.
I'm
Every time
getting
you
across
like,
what
you
I
can play the
want
whole,
to get
like,
across by.
information
fun.
game.
I don't
You can
know.
play the whole
I,
like.
it's not the
What I
idea
showed
I
you,
have.
Storytellers and
for-
staff,
it'll either
if
be
you're a
knowledge
Landswarmer,
or
they're-
it'll
they-
be,
they- when they wanna
like,
fight,
when I say.
like they,
And maybe
they're like, all right,
someone
we don't have to
who
talk
is
too much
not
about that,
that
because
hey, just mention something
I
to
know.
blah 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 over there about it.
which
As
is-
soon as you
But
start, all of a
that's
sudden it's
kind of
like,
the thing
you
I'm
say something,
looking
you're like,
for.
like,
I
you gotta
think
come
I
with
did
me.
this extra.
Yeah.
We gotta go talk to this person.
Then
Then you get over there and they're like, oh, all right, repeat your story. We're gonna go over here and tell these people it. Next thing you know, you're like, everybody's like,
Right.
yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
the next thing you know, you're like,
What if I'm a healer
why am I the
of
expert?
the death goddess?
Right.
And that
Yeah.
like totally
Yeah.
just
So
changed
Eli,
everything in my
what
head, and I
is
was like,
your vision
oh,
of EO?
okay, but what, and then maybe blah, 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 and like, I was feeling like everything was
out for
on
whatever reason because
full
it's
church.
so much backup plan
Yeah.
and whatever, but the character and the
So much
personalities and
things,
the brain and
input,
what she
and
does for fun
gotta
and
make
all
this
this
all
stuff, like,
fit
I
into
care
it, yeah.
I never have used
Okay, well, let's do, is it
I
Jennifer?
come in
See
here,
what
Let's do
happens.
Jennifer
see what
first,
happens,
okay.
like, I know, like,
Tell
this
me
is
about
one thing,
your
but I'm
game.
like, oh my god.
I usually write the
So,
barest
Alice
minimal
is actually
It's gone from
Oh,
slightly older
Oh.
sister.
I have
And so my husband died of brain
Sure.
along with her.
Because
Her
it's
husband was my
like-
brother,
Yeah.
my husband was her
very
brother.
much that.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
different.
And
Yeah.
so
We
I
were
was shared
sharing
tragedy
about
when I was
Young
younger,
and
so I was
Rush
going
Grey's
around
Anatomy,
using
and
different
I didn't
plans
we
and
were
different
be
fighting styles. I
like,
just wanted to be a
you
warrior.
know,
That was and I didn't
So
have any
that's-
men at all
Speaking
until you
of
met the
evolution
right
of
one.
characters, that's kind of
And
where
it's
it's
a soulmate,
from.
fell
Look
madly
from
in love,
multiple
had the family.
I guess I knew what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I missed the Bill Dragon's face. He's always been dirty deeds
Well, that's
on
when
your cheek.
we were to the character workshop last
And
time with each
so
other.
then
And we
it's
were
just
building
like
this
that.
thing, and we were talking and throwing it.
Kids.
We were like, yeah, I kind of want this.
And, you know, then she gets
Well,
all in all of our
Kind of
siblings,
bubbly,
but
bubbly,
yeah.
kind of roguish
So are
type of
you
person.
a
But I want to be a world
melee
traveler,
class
have
then?
a lot of
You're-
friends.
Wow.
It's just evolved into.
She's a berserker.
It's dirty.
So then
Right.
that's
Him and his-
that
him and his
you know,
peeps.
she's
Right.
out with the
I don't wanna know their
children.
names. So we have
And
houses,
what it is
and
that
then
threatens them, but something
there's
threatens
like-
their children.
I
We call them the
prays
sneaky
to
people.
her.
They're like
Well,
group of
I
like
do
sneaky
know
people
that
that they're like, oh, we have a
Right.
group of things, we think we can do
She
it.
prays
thing.
to
There's a number of
Sarai
guilds.
because
There's
the
guild,
children
yes,
she has
the-
left.
and
The Scholars Guild.
I'm
That's
gonna try and take a
everything
back
for
seat
her,
because
and
being
what she
here
gets
from
granted is
season
this-
one,
this
this is
is
a reminder
fury,
we're
which
going
is
to
enough
the
to save
whole
their
world
lives.
in this
Threat.
race.
The people who
Same
do
time,
things that we
it's
don't want to know about
It's
now.
also your heroic choice.
Right, that's
Don't
what
ask
you
them
do.
to tell Gil.
But it was,
That's
you know, I
fine.
will do
It
absolutely.
would be very hard to get myself in that mindset.
So
but
When I
a lot
release
of
her,
our
I
time.
because I'm so used to
interesting side
at
effects
least
when you
know
ask her
everything.
how.
Even if I'm not involved in everything.
Fun.
From the old
So, yeah,
days.
she had like
I was
Sure.
I was the only
Oh, yeah.
healer, so I was.
Now,
I haven't
it's
got to physically
really-
portray any of it.
Exactly.
Seriously, go
Okay,
try
well,
to
like,
do it.
how do you picture
I'm
her?
used to like it's been
My
a
favorite
very
mod was still the
big
one up on
shift
top of
for
the hill
me
for
for now,
you
knowing
and
Is
everything
she
Christian
sort of
and
a,
Pat.
like, just a laid
And then
back,
we have the
casual, people and then something snaps?
Paula and I in the
Or is she
middle, at
always
one point,
kind of
And
like,
focus more on the.
Yeah,
role,
I'll
which
just
is what I'm
attack
here for.
and
Like,
defend
the
the
love,
location.
you know,
Hold
we
them,
do
they
the
went
fight.
down and just.
And I
have
They're
a
rotating.
skills
Okay.
that
Like, I know I have
to
one,
go out if I
so
change my
what do I get?
mind.
Great big full plate armor.
I love
I'm
that.
playing
Okay, so
Giant shield.
I.
The
I've
tank
never
If I
done
wanna go, I
the
have-
Gear
found his mask that he
before,
wears
so
at
I
the
was over
Like
there.
the look, the
I wanna get that impression.
Like they were like also
Which matches my
Somebody
kit.
who is.
Hell,
So
so
it's
that-
mask.
Somebody
Big
at
fall
Denver.
Where'd you guys fight?
Like
Like-
me, if I'm
Oh,
gonna go
okay.
to anything, because
Okay.
where they were
this
like,
girl looks
"My
like
bad,
she's
46
ready to go and could.
So, I mean,
slice
we
it
ship
up.
this with everything.
But it's
It's
gonna
still like
hang
looking
on
at
the
you
wall,
like,
and people ask about it. She's like, it's there in case of emergencies.
so what do you?
I wanna get that impression
Like,
from you when I see
Yeah,
you.
I
any
think
ideas?
Am I gonna see you like bouncing on your toes?
Are you still gonna
Thanks.
play the same one that you were
I
doing
don't
last
know.
year? Or
I'm
no?
gonna be able to do
Not same one,
anything.
but yeah, not full still.
All right, so tell
Yeah.
us.
For sure.
What do you wanna share?
Far, you know, like hands.
Yeah.
Where I'm at
Yeah,
now,
so,
like,
okay, everything is.
I was gonna
Yeah.
come
But
in
having
and
done
play
these
like
stories, I know
a
exactly
character
what
that
you
committed
are.
war crimes
Yeah.
and
So-
stuck in
I like, no,
his
that's
house.
great. I get a,
Doesn't have to worry
get a
about
good
that
visual
as
of that.
Cash Morgan.
So like even if you're sitting.
Right.
So I imagine like showing up in town
you're
and
ready
being
to
a
Ready to
leader.
bounce.
Exactly. You'd be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna chill with Ambrosius.
Play with that.
Totally
Yeah,
picture it.
yeah, you- I was just
Okay.
like, I don't think
Your turn.
went over to don't play the lone
I'm
wolf.
still trying to figure out the backstory and all that stuff.
Don't play the lone
So I
wolf.
think a lot of mine would
Yeah.
be
You can still be
in the
kind of
sense
quiet.
when I
Don't be
go
the
to
brooder that just
Like,
off of there.
it
doing
was
nothing.
supposed to be a
Role play.
redemption story,
Bring
but
me epic stories.
no.
Right? So there's that.
It is a redemption story.
Yeah.
You get a second chance. Nobody knows who you are.
So,
That was
So
what I
as
did
we
my very
learned
first
today,
game.
when you do the
Very
database,
first
you
game,
can actually
we had the
pick
giant
what
brain.
information's on the
We
database
had the
other than
brain
your
back
first name.
together.
If you don't have your
all
character's
the
first name on it
pain.
though, you can't receive a
And I
rating.
was like,
okay.
But you can
you
hide
know
your,
that.
you can hide your nationality,
Or
everything.
other
So
people.
if you just wanna, you wanna play that person with your background.
It's the thing that connects
I
to
think
something
it's
very
like-
real about you.
On all those things, so it's just like
Good
first,
to
so you have your
know.
first name, and it's like, and then you can develop that character and things like
And I'm
that.
like,
We're on
you don't
my
know your
behalf.
history. Let me tell you.
My lead in is
I
like,
just
I
made
was
shit up.
Crown Guard, and I
And the
actually
beautiful thing
knew
about this group is,
Jeremiah's
that's
character, Alexander,
and I'm like,
the Crown
awesome.
Guard,
like, okay,
where we
Or
had
I was here
crossover
and they
training.
called me out on it.
So I used that as my
Right.
lead in, that when I got there,
Because
we,
hardly anybody here.
because it was like,
knows me
well,
as a
yeah, part of your house, guy.
Right. So House Ambrosius. So
Yeah.
speaking of House Ambrosius, like the in-game thing, I don't know if they told you guys, when Morgan was like dissolved, because Uber was like, he said that
I don't want
Morgan
to
could
kill
come
you.
into Ambrosius, or
I
they
thought
could
you were
choose other
adorable.
houses.
And I
So-
don't know why you ran off.
That's up to you guys. If you
Colin,
want to
Colin
learn
just
about
wants
House
to help you.
Ambrosius.
Everybody else was
I guess each
It's
time
all
I
of
have
the
my
game
own
set,
set, just
period.
Ambrosius
I
too?
go on for the
Okay.
Well, so
Yeah.
instead
Colin
of
and
like,
everybody,
okay,
so
Which was
maybe
totally
you guys
like,
want to talk about
I
that.
thought
That's
one
what
thing
they
would
were
happen,
doing.
and the next thing I find
It's
out
kind
you
of
ran off.
fun
I was like,
and
that
I
was
don't
not
have like people
story
bid
idea.
over you in game as far as like allegiance and houses, just to be like, you know, I'm entertaining offers, like, what you guys
I might
got?
be seeing this
And
wrong.
right, exactly. You know, it's kind of like college rushmore. Like,
Do not be offended.
But I have no idea what she is.
Yeah, I see a lot of people get offended by easily when
What
I'm
not
like,
what your character is, but you don't
I
know
was just like, okay,
I have a whole pile of Hearthstone.
hey,
I
you
know
know,
who she is.
Yes.
Like, get rid
because
of like,
sometimes
you know
they're
what you are.
trying to always just want to get sometimes they're like,
oh my god,
metric
dude,
is kind of
that's
monsters.
what
Yeah.
I'm getting
Yeah.
out
Yeah,
these.
this is supposed to be
Oh my
nasty.
god,
Everybody
She walks
dark.
in during your mentality, right?
If you don't feel
So
good,
Yeah.
The
you know,
winners
like,
and ways,
I feel
we
like
you don't
just
have good night
think you
vision,
have
you don't
an
stumble
invested
on dark a
oh my
lot.
gosh, you
a
pulled
lot
up.
of
hang out in
Like, I'm
town.
gonna take care of
Your
you.
There's plenty of cool plot things that
All
run around in town.
children
Yes.
being.
I mean, there's,
And then she's
and they're
gonna
talking about it.
And there's nothing wrong with
Like,
that,
I'm
but there's
fine.
a whole other
So
side.
they're blaming this kid, and
You're
I'm
just
like,
like,
clearly this
I
is
sat there
something
one
this
night,
led. She's
near
just
my little
a
magic
kid,
thing.
like,
Missed
but
out on.
leave her
so that-
alone, right? And then
I
I
sat there
find
for so
out
long, I
it's
was like,
disappeared, and I'm
but
like, oh,
if it helps,
You're like,
Or not
oh,
anymore.
is she just a
At this
kid?
point.
Or
Oh, Paul's convinced that she's just.
Because it wasn't
have
such
been
mundane
referred to
conversations, but it was
by
just so
several members
And
of
did what this lady
Crossway.
told
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course she does.
And
Because she's
that
like, you know, she offered to
if-
feed a poor kid who hadn't eaten in a
Old
week,
ladies,
so
that's
her
right.
and
Them to do
felt
a
like
thing.
she had to do her a favor, and
run it
you
by
know, obviously.
And everyone's like, it was
Aria.
know what
Like,
And Paula is just so.
She'll be the
hard
one to
for
make
what
the
I've
final
seen you
call,
do.
and they
Yes.
won't do it without
Because
you.
normally you're either really
So
stoked
you're
or
already sort of
But
established.
or
things the
Yeah.
Do you have
Yeah.
established
Yeah.
yourself as,
Totally.
and then like
Yeah,
when the weather gets
just
hot,
like
like, there'll
everybody.
be
yeah,
like,
you're a loyal
It's
and
just a
protective
song, it'll be
Kind
wanderer.
Yeah.
So last summer we did
These
a
are
huge
someone
tournament.
that they depend on for
And during the
guidance.
hottest part of the day.
So maybe you can take those
only a few
things
people
that
really
already
participated in it,
exist
but it's lounge around watching it. Like it was like
build
fun.
on
There was
them.
like a joke, there was like range combat, like throwing targets, and then there was
this thing about
melee,
my
green melee thing.
How did I
Stuff like
Like,
that.
Tori
Oh,
Bates
yeah,
was
like,
playing
like,
it,
like,
and if it wasn't for like
like Garth, and they're just like,
skills,
oh
Tori
my
would
god,
so
no, you
much.
start saying,
Okay.
no,
Like David
no,
Bowie.
no, different characters, look different.
But you can
You should
like,
totally play as
made
like
a
this.
man
I will
for
like
you
what-
about
staunchly defend you. And I will have this half circle of people like kids. I'll be like, no, I promised I was gonna take care of her. You can just pound things. Get about it.
I didn't know why.
How did I
Thing, and
become
then we also had
I
the
can't
mother
remember what
figure?
happened.
More
It's
like
not just because, you know, you
Okay,
didn't walk into
people
the
come
running
in
off,
and
that's
you just
cool.
kinda like
one of the
for-
older
character's
members
gone
of the
now.
house.
you just do a lot of
They were the
things,
oldest
so.
one too.
But you came in with anger as a temper or
I only
something,
put
right?
one
Yeah,
in
it
the
was,
first game.
initially
Like,
Catherine
yeah.
was the one that.
Dude,
Yeah, we
going
have a
back
Catherine
to
Say a
being
lot.
like,
But I mean, like,
Quiet.
totally
like a
different.
new
Yeah,
character.
It's okay.
It's been interesting.
But it's, you can.
We're not really talking about you.
We're not really talking about you, but about how it came in initially.
Not
And
you.
it's funny, yeah, and heroic, and
I
I
know what you would do.
You know, when
Like,
you realize other people,
at least
how other
40,
people, like,
45, I say.
what things happen
Once I
in
get
my backstory.
And I'm
that
like,
led me
every
to
time I ask a
this.
question about
So,
why
you
she
know,
did
you
can
it,
work
I'm
backwards
like,
from
I
there.
it's
understand
interesting
her
and it's
plan.
fun,
Right.
like,
That was
Um,
an
kind
answer
of
to
be
every
alert,
question
you
I
know.
asked.
You know,
So
I'm
what
like,
questions you guys have?
Filling in the holes.
peace. So,
Yeah.
then I get all
I mean,
involved
I-
in the IC
I
plot,
have
and
to
I'm like,
have
oh, I'm gonna
characters.
marry
I have
someone
to
else,
figure out
I'm gonna have some
my
IC.
character.
Are you
Set
aware you're,
babies.
did you get
I'm
scaled?
a rock,
Ever
not
wanted to
going
play.
normally you can come into mine, and I'm gonna drop it and become an IC.
At the
What
time, I
now?
threw it
They
together
need
so we could
more
have
strong
Right, yeah.
people.
And then-
Because of that
So
baby.
There's no reason you
And I
can't
wanna
work
probably
backwards now
retire
and
into
establish.
school.
Well, let me ask you
Right.
this, which, and this is something that you probably already know.
Cool.
Why
Yeah,
did
it was-
you-
Be like, oh,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
the Lance
disciplinarian,
Warren
but
is
when secretly
very
I'm like,
similar
oh,
to
Because
what
she
we wrote
was too
for,
young to
So,
go.
the
to
talent
college,
for
she was the
broke
interpreter.
my shell
Why did they
he
send you
started
and
like a
not
hatred
some
with
other
her
humans, and they
about
are- they're all-
because he was actually playing the right where he's like Camry had people
What-
watch
You didn't come with
You're like,
anyone
you know,
else.
Bill
Do you
Stan.
not have a family?
At the time,
Or
she was
family
really
or
like,
they-
you guys are
Then they go back to like,
more than 20 when it did, and I was the
There's
first
so
one
much
to
random
get
stuff
like everybody
happens,
watching
like all of a
horses,
sudden corner redstone based on the wall
and so
built around
Colin
Were her
developed
parents
this like
like
mistrust and
100,
almost
like
like
95% of it.
Killed
Yeah.
at the same
Really
time that
some,
her
like,
family
due
was
to
killed.
her and all of
And
douchebag
really,
So my
she
boyfriend, he
is
finally
trying to
said
have
monstrous
you.
things
You
to
are
build
all she
house.
has.
And I just think
that's
it's
how you
hilarious
came to-
because there were people
He found the
that
10% of the wall
came
with
into
the
Oh, yeah.
other
man.
guys, and so we went at it.
Yeah.
We had to do
You
an
know,
all-out
Black hole.
yelling
I
match,
also
and I
know
gave
some-
I called me Mike, and I walked over and I kissed him.
Yeah.
What
And
sort
then
of
how
relationship do I have in my relationships? Have relationships. See, that it's not just that, you can make up names and things so that you're connected
I just think it's
to
funny.
somewhat
I
the
did-
layers.
So like from a
Yeah.
We've already
once
seen
they
I
met,
know
you're like,
her.
we're used to other people who like each other, regardless of like
NPCs
romantically or not, but just
have
like
some
on a
sort
more
of
positive
association.
relationship.
My
And that
dad
is
was
not
Right, do I see that?
do I see this? Because I always want to shoot
My
at it,
dad
because that doesn't
has
look like it should be.
begrudging.
He's one of his
The other
siblings,
one
the
that I
one who
like
was
is
married
the
to my
horses they've got
sibling,
next
and
door.
that's where
They've
she
got
her
the
character
like,
came
I
from.
ain't even
Because it's
know
IMDC
whatever.
list.
I'm
Put that
feeling
up on
super
the
top.
suspect. Like,
I
I
just
don't
hope
know.
that
I
she
had a
has
name
a
of like two that I had kids.
that has
Right.
a
We've got a
Grown
ton of
moss
Henry
covered
in
that,
game now
like,
that
it
would
looks like a
love
tree
to
just
sit
grown
and
over the
talk
armor.
to you
Yeah.
about that
Like-
and help you
That's
hash
by
that
far
out.
my favorite place.
No,
to
I'm
be.
like
One with all the-
And
Like,
I
I'm
don't
I'm
know
like,
if you
no
have come
makeup,
up with.
maybe
No,
a
like,
board
we're
or
real-
something.
Oh, yeah,
That's
it's
it.
all
I'm
over
gonna
the
be
board,
as simple
right?
as
I've got some
Well,
years
maybe
before
it's
that.
related.
Like
The old,
right
the
now,
old
crazy
wooden wall
and
where
it's
the
like
It may
really
have
is.
come in
You know,
just
werewolves, like, I like the
accompanying
because I think that's an
But it's
interesting
really
someone
cool.
else
I like
getting
how
getting
we
involved
got
all the
excited.
time. And
So
We're gonna
it's
go
like-
get this new costume, like we're gonna have our camp set up, and then it's
I
like,
think I'm gonna
without
call
being
it
able
ice
to
cream
do
together.
doing that, like,
And
Alright, sorry.
That's a good idea.
good organized
Yeah.
event.
like
I
whatever,
do
like,
want
but
someone
it's so
that
fun,
It hadn't
like,
kicked in yet.
everybody's doing
Hadn't
it.
started
Not
feeling
going
it.
out
You just get
tomorrow,
excited and wanna do
obviously.
So these are things you can think about, like things that are already established, that you've already established,
And as little as you want.
with just how you got here and
Like
why,
that
and
rescue
then
movie
go back
now,
to the
like
pieces
super
in
Don't
and
wanna
all
go
fit
climb the
around.
hill,
The
don't go
cool
climb
thing
it.
about
I'm not
Muriel
trying to interrupt, but
Brad's
everybody
in
else
the
is pretty well
hall
into
at
it, so
40
just
kills.
was letting you know.
are, you you know.
Again,
the-
you-
the-
2:26, so you still have
Okay,
4 minutes.
no, thanks, we'll wrap it up.
But
Um,
Muriel
but,
said,
Afterwards,
I
we're
choose
meeting
to
in
go
the
on
sixth.
happy
I
days,
don't know.
because otherwise,
Apparently
everything's
we're
so
trying to
depressing.
remember
I
what
should just
Everybody
go
has
on
their
myself.
Hi.
So if I don't
Obviously
have
not mine.
happy
Keep talking.
Yeah, that we're meeting in the sanctuary for like we do
sucks,
at the
everybody's gonna
beginning
die
for a
anyway.
wrap up.
I hate how
So
you
if you wanna let them know
have
that, cool.
kids.
Awesome.
So it's so
Then I
funny.
just
It's
have
like,
to
why
go
don't
outside.
we get it out?
To the baby
Um,
hall.
Bitter as hell.
Not money is
Yes, I'm so glad that you
Dude, I
brought
got a
that up,
pool.
because you should
I got an
have
exercise ball.
an experience.
Are you guys?
I guess, you just need to get some.
And doesn't depend on necessarily.
No, really,
They're in their
really
established
freaking out
and
here, and I
everything.
started creeping on
But-
Facebook, and I was like, yeah, I don't know this thing like forever ago, and then forgot about it. So
I'm like, oh my god.
yeah. So when are you due? Okay.
I don't even know what
Yeah,
friggin'
maybe a couple $1,000s on Rob's.
Well, then,
Teenage boy.
well, then fine, you'll just have your own character and go in your own
When you
box.
start in Nebraska, when you were running.
No,
games,
it's totally understandable. But you deserve to have your own experience
There are
outside of
lots
all
of
that.
us
So that
really
was
happy to help you figure
Oh,
you out.
07.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah, and then I think I met Sebastian just a couple years after I brought him. Yes, so I mean.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
If you ever need to come over.
Everybody, come back to the table,
And
turn around, wheel about, whatever you
No
do.
clue.
they can yell at each other from balconies,
Scoot.
right?
Yeah.
We do yell at each other.
Although I don't get to do this anymore.
I know, that's very strange.
Alright, we are just about done, and I just have one thought that I wanna close with. I'm not gonna sit, but I'm gonna leave. Now, so if you
Yeah.
wanted this chair, you're welcome to sit in it.
I still have video going too.
Sarah and I want to talk to you about something
Right.
very important. It's called a liminal space. I don't know if you've ever heard staff use that term before. This is the space between the real world and the world of Britannis. We pass through it before we call game on. It is that couple of minutes where Caroline stands before us and has us close our eyes and invites us to let the real world slip away for a little while and put our characters on and get into that headspace and think about where we've been since the last time we were in Cornerstone, what happened the last time we were here, how does that affect us? We've been traveling, we are now here, we are now home, and we are going to fully invest ourselves in this. That's the liminal space, the space from being out of character to getting in character. And you can really make the most of that, and you really should. It can really maximize your experience. It is also important to pass through that space on your way out. Close your eyes and take a deep breath, and I'm going to now shed this character for a time and step back into the real world. And that helps minimize bleed as well. That's the timer. Thank you guys so much for taking this class. I hope